It's a local Conservation Commission meeting. It's on Zoom. And we'll do a roll call to log in the people who are present. So just say aye when I call your name. Dean?
Aye.
Bailey?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Betsy?
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
Jack? Aye. So we're all here.
No, you can
Emilio,
call Emilio.
well, I don't see him on here.
Okay, but you can't say we're all here.
So I said I was all here except for Emilio. We'll see if he logs in whenever. You just make note whatever time that is, if he does log in. Okay. First hearing this evening is the land disturbance permit for Lincoln Estates. Landis, you want to read that in?
On a Walpole Land Disturbance Permit Conservation Commission public hearing in accordance with the Walpole Stormwater and Erosion Control Bylaw and Regulation. Notice is hereby given of the intent of Walsh Brother Construction Company, Inc. to file a land disturbance permit application for the activity associated with the construction of 24 single-family dwellings with driveway utilities and associated grades within the Lincoln Estates subdivision off of Lincoln Road in Walpole, Mass. Plans on file at the Conservation Commission office. The public hearing on the above matter will be held during a virtually accessible video Zoom on January 26, 2022, beginning at 7 p.m. All interested parties are requested to be present. John Wiley, Chairman, Walpole Conservation Commission.
The letter from the town engineer, Carl Baldoff, dated January 26th. He's referencing the set of plans, a memo from the conservation agent, response edition from Robert Truex, dated October 18th, 2021. Another submittal from Robert Truex, dated December 14th, 2021. Application for land disturbance permit. And a multi-page report entitled Stormwater Management for Definitive Subdivision Plan. Carl's comments. Oh, there's an additional multi-page document entitled Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan Management Report. His comments based on that information. Design submitted was reviewed both by this office for conformance with planning board rules and regulations and peer reviewed for earth removal by Beta Engineering. This office witnessed soil tests and reviewed the drainage. It's comfortable with the final design shown. Nevertheless, the following issues are available for consideration under the land disturbance permit. The planning board did not approve a definitive subdivision which showed only the construction of the road, detention basins, and grading on lots 1, 2, 22, and 23. We questioned the filing for land disturbance on the proposed subdivision lots when the roadway cannot be constructed. It would appear that the applicant for land disturbance on the lots should occur after the road and detention basins are constructed. Filing would then show the roadway, basins, and associated grading as an existing condition and then provide a sequenced plan for the gravel removal of the lots. Number 2, there does not appear to be anything in the application for land disturbance, application cover letter, SWIP, project plans, or stormwater report indicating that proposed work is for the lots only. Plans provide full detail for road construction and lot grading. Page 10 of the application land disturbance indicates that a gravel removal operation plan and project phasing and construction schedule were submitted. These items were not included in our package, but should be included. We do note that sheet 18 does provide a project phasing and construction schedule. However, this is not illustrated with a phasing plan. If the commission moves forward with the application, these items should be provided. Sheet 17, erosion control plan, shows only 2 temporary sediment basins, one near Basin 3 on lot 13 and one near Basin 1 on lot 23. Temporary basins sized for 1 inch over the disturbed area should be provided in multiple locations. Suggested locations are near lot 5, 6, lot 9 and 10, lot 16, and or lot 17. This should also be shown on erosion control plan. Off-site, provide catch basin, a double grate at low point near number 545 Lincoln. Install limited berm and stabilize area near the driveway. Pipe across the street to relieve occasional flooding in that low area. Recommend street sweeping occur at least once a week or more frequently as conditions dictate. Recommend the Conservation Commission retain a performance security of $9,000 per acre of disturbed area to cover emergency grading and stabilization should the developer walk away and or not be in a financial position to complete the work. That's from Carl Baldoff, the town engineer. Representing the applicant,
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Robert Truax of GLM Engineering Consultants.
okay, do you have that letter?
Yes, we received it yesterday. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
We don't have a response at this time for the letter. Just, we haven't prepared anything for that. So can we share the screen here, Landis or Mr. Chairman?
You should be able to.
Okay.
With me.
Okay, let's note Emilio is present. Say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, I think everyone's familiar with the site as we did file for a land disturbance permit for the roadway construction and the grading associated with the roadways only and the drainage system for the roadways. So now what we're filing is a land disturbance permit for all the grading that will take place to prepare all the lots for house construction and utilities, septic systems, driveways, etc., and to construct some privacy berms along the perimeter of the property that's screened from adjacent properties as well. So this is a quick overview on my screen here that shows the site colored up. You can see the roadways and the general area of the houses, the driveways. Within the subdivision design process, all the houses were designed to have roof infiltration. The roof infiltration systems were designed to capture and recharge up to and including the 100-year storm event. The lots will all be serviced with on-site sewage disposal systems, septic systems. There'll be public water brought in from the proposed roads. There'll be electricity, gas, et cetera, in that area. So what we're looking to do is just to keep it all comprehensive as one project as it goes forward, to grade the lots, grade the roadways, get them all prepped so that once they're prepped, we can go in and do our percolation tests for the septic systems and lowering the grades and prepare the septic designs for the individual lots and construct the houses. And we want to do that. So this is a permit that we filed before you for the lot grading and not the roadway grading. We did submit a revised phasing plan to you, I believe, yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I'm not sure when Mr. Walsh dropped it off. And it's just a little different than it is a revision to what's shown on the plan. I'll pull that up real quick. So basically, it would be 3 phases of constructing on the lots in the areas that we would clear at a time. So we'd have phase 1, which you can see is about 8.3 acres. And then we have phase 2, which is about 10.5 acres. And then phase 3, which is about 5.2 acres. The process would be we'd go in and clear phase 1. we'd start at the front, work our way back, and we grade everything out, remove the gravel, prep the lots. And as we're going into the site and we're creating these, I guess we'd call them house pads, site prep, we'd be doing looming and seeding with temporary seeding on those areas because the house construction wouldn't happen immediately. So we prep the lot, put down 4 to 6 inches of loom, seed the lot, get the grass growing, and then move on to phase 2. And likewise, we would do the same. We may start some house construction during that process. Some of the houses may start going up depending on sales and economy at the time. They may not all get built at the same time in phase 1. We may move on to phase 2 once we get phase 1 stabilized, and move into phase 2 and start prepping those lots. And again, the same goes with phase 3. So that would be lot preparation. The roadway would be cut in on a separate permit, and that would just be the lot preparation only. So that's a quick overview of why we're back here for this same project. So Mr. Walsh is here on the call as well as Mr. Walsh's counsel, Brian Almeida, and myself, so we can all answer any questions you might have.
Okay, Landis?
So I think what the commission said the last time, that they were only approving the road construction under the first land disturbance permit. And then you would need to come forward with another land disturbance permit for lot construction, which each lot, I believe, is an acre or close to it. So it's over 40,000 square feet per lot. But the commission agreed that you could file all the lots together, showing the grading and the house, driveway, utilities. I think somewhere in there you have the roof drainage, all under one land disturbance permit. So I think one of the points that the town engineer was bringing up was, it seemed like you just submitted the information that you submitted for the subdivision, so that the stormwater management report and a lot of the plans just referenced the definitive subdivision plan, and it wasn't really customized for the specific lots. So that's one of the points. So a phasing sheet was submitted, I think it was yesterday, so I didn't have enough time to get it up on the website. I don't think I got a digital copy, I just got a hard copy. So that's why it's not on the website and commissioners don't have it. So also I just wanted to bring up, and I can see from this plan that the lots that fall under the jurisdiction of the Wetlands Protection Act and the local bylaw wouldn't be included for grading or activity under the land disturbance permit, that the areas within the jurisdiction of the Wetlands Protection Act and the local bylaw would have to be submitted separately under those regulations and laws. So if I'm just getting this right, what you're proposing with this plan and the other sheets that you have filed is what you anticipate grading out for each lot. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And if there's any changes, then you'd have to send in an amendment or for that particular lot.
Correct.
And the stormwater management during construction is not on this plan, because this plan is showing the post-construction sediment basins. Do you have a separate sheet that you could put up that shows during construction stormwater management?
I don't, I'm not sure I follow your question. I mean, what do you mean by that?
I
When you
mean,
say-
while you're cutting and grading the lots, how are you going to handle the stormwater management during that period?
So we did an erosion control plan that showed temporary basins for the overall site to be graded at once. So it's still our intention to work the lots. Once we have this permit, we're going to work the lots as we work the roadway. So it'll all be one constructed prep, so to speak, prepping the site. We're gonna cut the roadway, we're gonna build it up to a certain point, and at the same time as we're going in and we're operating on the site, we're gonna be working in conjunction with grading the lots at the same time we're grading the roadway. So all that temporary basin that the town engineer speaks about and the temporary basins that we show on the overall plans, those would be utilized during the construction of the lots as well.
So you don't have that, can you put that up so that everyone can see that, or that's what I'm asking?
So this is the erosion plan right here, just an overview. So we have some temporary basins down in the front, and then he was requesting some additional ones down in the back. I don't have lot numbers on this sheet, but he was talking about in the area of Deerfield. He was also talking about the area up in the back here. He mentioned those lots, and then some temporary basins in this area as well. We already have a couple down in the front. We've got 1, 2, 3 of them right here. Some temporary basin here, a temporary basin here. These are temporary stockpile areas. This is a staging area.
And which sheet number is that? So this,
Number 17.
okay, which was filed with this land disturbance permit for the lot construction.
Correct. This is, I'm
So
looking at the whole, I have the whole set here. And then there is a conflict on this phasing. That's why we submitted a revised phasing. So we have to update these plans as well as far as the phasing goes. So we had a temporary basins in the front, one here, and then I had one at the end of the cul-de-sac. So I had 3 temporary basins, which would be for the overall site. And he asked for an additional one down on the lots near Deerfield, an additional one up near this cul-de-sac in his comments.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
that's fine. We can provide a couple more temporary basins.
And I think the other issue was just to take a look at how the clearing and grade changes can be minimized for lot construction. So did you look at that possibility, or?
Right now, if you look at these lots, the area that's set up for the house pads, they range from 20 to, I don't know, just under 30,000 square feet of usable area. And that's pretty common with a house and a septic and driveway, et cetera, for a yard area. And then also if someone wanted to have a swimming pool later on in life, they could have room for that.
Yeah.
So I mean, the lots are 1 acre, but the overall usable area when the lot's finished is somewhere around 30,000 or less square feet. So they're not 1 acre pads per se. The couple in the middle where we're grading this lot, but that overlaps onto the lots beside it. And we need that grading to do that for the septic system installations. And then obviously, as you know, we've spoken about this in the past, along the abutting property to the rear of the site, which is the Walpole Sportsman's Association. We are building an earthen berm along the back of the lots. And that berm ranges up from 15 to 20 feet in height and elevation. And, you know, that's going to provide screening from sound as well as, you know, visual. And so those lots also, when you get to the bottom of the berm, the area that's usable is between 20 and 30,000 square feet. So the overall pads of all the lots isn't really a 1 acre pad per se.
Okay, those are the only comments I have at this point. I have additional comments if the commission decides to close the hearing and issue a decision, but it sounds like there's some revisions that need to be made.
Ooh,
Carl did.
yeah, good.
Okay. Dean, any comments or questions?
No comments.
Bailey, any?
No comments.
Okay, Emilio, Doug,
No questions at this time.
And this is the old one.
Emilio.
Should be revisions.
So are you clearing the whole, you're developing the whole road first and then you're doing the phases by 3 phases and installing or developing the lots? Hello?
Sorry, I was muted. Talking to myself.
Yeah.
Originally, I don't have a concrete answer for that right at this moment. Let me talk to John, the developer, about that and get back to you with an answer. I mean, I think originally the idea was, when we were doing it all, was one land disturbance permit was to clear the phase one, build the road up past phase one, get that all stabilized, start building houses in that area, and then start phase two.
Mhm.
We do, at this point, we have a land disturbance permit to build all the roads and clear all that and cut it and put it in. And then we could then just do the clearing for the lots that are in phase one, get those prepped. So I think maybe we just need to give you some kind of sequence on how we'd come at that before I just throw out answers. So let me get back to you on that with a more definitive answer.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Betsy?
Yeah, so this is complicated for me. I've been really thinking about it. And some of the things that I thought about today, I think maybe I'll mention. So we approved the roads a few weeks or a couple months ago. And then planning turned them down, and now you're in land court to get that overturned, or whatever you do in land court about that kind of thing. I think it's land court. But that's, I guess, here nor there. And that's one of the things I had to wrap my head around. Okay, it's like, okay, that's fine. That's what you're doing with planning board. It's not our business. We're a separate commission. So now we're looking at the house lots. And it does sound like you're going to be coming back with some revisions. So we're probably not closing tonight. We're probably not making a decision. And I guess I'm just going to conclude by saying, I don't think I even have a question here, that whatever it is that we end up approving still is contingent on it matching some final plan that doesn't actually exist yet. There's nothing that planning has allowed to happen yet. So I guess those safeguards are in place. We're not going to accidentally approve something that planning doesn't approve. Ultimately, everything's got to come together, and ultimately it's on you, Rob,
Correct,
to make it come together. That's what that Landis helped clear that up for me today. I was saying, like, what, that it's ultimately on you to get this all dovetailed together. And so if you come back before us in a couple of weeks with the house lots, we'll do what we do as conservation commissioners. Right?
so so you're correct, Betsy. We can't put a shovel in the ground at this point in time. We don't have a subdivision approval. We're on appeal.
Yeah.
So I mean, if it takes 6 months, 9 months, a year, and our thought is hopefully it's favorable to us that we can build the roadways, then we would start construction. If in fact we lose in every account and we don't get a planning board approval ever, the project wouldn't go forward and the permits would just they'd either lapse or we'd withdraw them someday. But yes, you're correct. We
Who they
can't build
appealing?
this with just your permit.
The land court.
Yeah.
All right. So no question then. I guess we'll see you in
Math.
some revisions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Al?
I guess my concern at this point is that once they start cutting and stripping the land, I look at an area like this as a disaster waiting to happen. If we have a big storm, whether it's rain or wind, part of the lot would disappear. Okay, so that's my only concern, and I want to make sure that the erosion control is not just for water washing it away, but that they're taking proper action to make sure that bare earth doesn't blow away, because this is a big area. And if they finish stripping and bringing to grade phase one, I want to make sure that's stable before they start phase two, which is again cutting and stripping and having a lot of bare earth. So that's my concern at this point. I want to make sure that their plan gives us enough information on that particular part of the problem. That's all I have.
Rob, does your plan describe anything to cover the issues that Al just brought up?
Well, I think that's the same question Amelia's asked, and I think we'll have a conversation amongst ourselves, the team here, and see how we want to phase. I'm hearing from the commission that, I mean, I think you said this before, Mr. Chairman, at the last time we were here, is you don't want to see us go in and clear cut 24 or 20 acres or whatever it is all at once. And I think if we could, phase it out, we do phase one, clear it, build a road, prep the lots, start phase two, clear it, build a road, prep the lots, and then come in and do phase three. It would limit the amount of clearing at a time. So let us come back to you with a sequence on how we would do that and how we would phase it.
Can I just add, if
Yeah.
I'm correct, is under the SHWEP, under the construction permit, that you're supposed to only have 5 acres at a time.
No, this is really legit.
Cleared and then you have to stabilize and move on to the next 5 acres. Is that correct? Under the SHWEP? When you file a SHWEP?
We'll look at that.
Warm water.
Whoever's talking, could you please mute?
It's not us.
With that, Rob, do you plan to include how you would avoid the issues, particularly that Emilio brought up in the phasing, and Al on the problem if whatever is removed when there is and the ground is exposed, how that would be and the timing to keep it from becoming a dust bowl. I think
Yes.
that's what Al was
Sure.
mentioning. This is a concern with this large an area that we don't, that in addition to stormwater, we also have to be concerned with it turning into a dust bowl. So I think something, and whatever come up with is probably should be shown on a plan, because the contractors look at plans, they don't necessarily look at
Valid
stuff
point.
that's written up that's in a permit. So I
Yeah,
think it'd be
I think-
important
I
to be
agree
on
with you.
the plan. So,
I mean, we do have
Um,
some information about that on the plan, but we can beef that up a
Yeah.
little.
okay,
Talk about watering and things like that for the dust control. And, we
Okay.
do have a construction apron for the road that includes not just, the stone, but we are gonna put down, we're gonna bind our 3.5-inch binder course for the first 75 feet of road. We're gonna prep all that so that, when trucks are coming in and out, they're not just driving over gravel and then hitting Lincoln Road. We're gonna give them a
Okay.
75-foot paved surface, and then we're gonna have 75 foot of trap rock going into the site. So it's about 150 feet of stabilized entrance. So there's things like that, but we can, we'll take a look at that and see if we can give you a little more detail on it.
I know
Yeah,
you've
we're
got a
fine
lot
with
of,
that. That's fine.
you've got a lot of vehicles coming in and out over
Correct.
a
And
period of
that's
time.
that's
So
the
I think
reason for the entrance pad on the
In
proposed road.
addition to having that, that needs to be maintained. In other words, it needs to be swept
So-
if necessary or whatever. And I think, again, some kind of verbiage on the plan that would include
Yep.
that information as well.
Sure. So let me ask the commission this question. I think, Landis, you might have spoke to John about the individual lots. So, the lots are gonna get, temporary vegetation. Then they're gonna, some of them may get temporary, some of them may get permanent. The ones that don't get built immediately, like in phase one, we'll put some loom down and seed those temporarily until they come in and start building the house. Some of them they'll start building the house on. So the ones they start building the house on, the road will most likely have a binder course at that point in time. The binder will go down first. So the question I have is, do you want to see anything, Landis? I know John spoke to you a little bit, like maybe a representation of how each lot, like the construction entrance to that lot off the newly built road, like maybe yep, you're nodding your head, good, all right. And then maybe some
Yes.
little, it's like I'll give you a sheet that shows a sampling of how one lot would get developed in the sense of the construction entrance off the proposed road, some erosion controls around the street when they start disturbing that. So, we'll have some erosion just along the front of the lot, because all these lots primarily pitch from the back to the front to the new roadway. Almost 95% of them pitch in that direction. And then the back of the lots are actually, most of them are built up with some type of berm because it's cut into the hill. And so nothing's running off the back of the lots towards the abutting properties per se. It's all being contained in the site. It's like a bowl when we're done. But when they're building the individual lot, and the binder's down and they're just working on that, they're coming in, they're doing one lot, and they're doing the next lot. They have little construction entrances for the driveway going on to the new pavement. They probably have some wattles or something along the street so that if they do get a heavy rain while they're putting the foundation and nothing erodes out to the roadway. So we can give you like a one lot sampling of how each one would be done as they go through the site.
I think
Makes
what
sense.
we
Okay,
need-
if that works for each lot, the point is that each lot is an acre or over 40,000 square feet anyways. So if the subdivision was already constructed and someone was coming in to build a house on one of those lots, they'd have to file a land disturbance permit. So we would want to know how they're going to control the sediments during construction of the house, how they're going to keep the sediments on the lot. So the tracking pad, the erosion control in front, and even a little blurb of how they're going to handle any concrete washout or painting or anything that goes in during normal construction of a house, that it's all clean and not being tracked out onto the road. Especially you have infiltration basins, we want to keep the sediments out of that.
Okay, we can provide that.
Right, and
That's
Rob, so
fine.
you'll have that on the, again, include that, so it's, we have something to look at, and as opposed to what we just talked about, put that down in print.
Yep.
Okay. I guess the question is, you do want to proceed with this in view of the fact that you do not have approval from the planning board at this point. And
That's
that
correct.
is- And it may be some time from what you're saying before that is resolved.
That's correct. Yeah, we want to
So
go
you-
forward.
You want us to proceed with our hearing, okay? Excuse me. Landis, we got anybody on the audience that wants to speak up?
So if anyone in the audience wants to make a comment, if you could let us know in chat. Looks
And
so,
you need to identify yourself for the
yeah, if you could
record.
identify your name. I'm not sure. I have one EC to me. I'm not sure who that is. Do you want to ask that question? Eden, do you want to ask that question? Just unmute yourself and you should be able to talk.
Sure, I just was curious. Sorry, 1 second.
Identify yourself, please.
This is Eden.
Say that again, please.
Sorry, I'm having echo. 1 second. Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead, Eden.
Are you having echo now?
You're all set.
Okay, and your name, please?
It's Eden. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Eden, your last name?
Conley. So I was asking if there's a reason why they need to disturb the natural landscape to put in berms.
You're asking with the berm that is on the back of the property?
So are the squiggly lines on the plans the berms? A berm?
Rob, I think you can address that. I think the only berms offhand I can think of are on the back of the property. Is that correct? The property line between that and your butter, which is
Yes,
the
that's
sportsman
the one
club?
that's the only one we're actually constructing.
Okay, so is there a reason why you would need to take the natural landscape away and then reconstruct it?
Yes, because we want the berm higher than what's there today.
And you can't just build on top of that? Or put trees or do something different just to preserve as much as what there is that's already in place?
Well, if I build on top of it and put the gravel on it, I'm gonna kill all the vegetation. So we're gonna strip it out and then build the berm, and we'll replant the slopes. We want the earth berm for safety purposes, as well as screening, as well as sound, for several reasons.
It just feels like you're taking away so much of the natural landscape and it makes you wonder if it's all necessary. It would be helpful when I was talking about the squiggly lines, because I thought they were all meaning the same thing. So if you look, I think it's on page 10. It looks like there's a series of squiggly lines like going through the front. They all seem to go along the outer perimeter.
So, can you see this screen now?
I can, yes.
So where are you talking, like coming up this side?
Yes, exactly. All those little
So-
squigglies that kind of go up and
So
around.
this side right here, we are cutting this out. And then this goes up towards the abutters and then back down where it's dark green towards the abutters. So first it goes up and then it goes down. So we're not building this berm, we're just cutting it out. And so we're leaving this tree line on the downhill side, but we're cutting out on the other side. So the lots will be lower. At the end of the day, there'll be like a berm in there. But that's kind of a natural berm. It's half natural. The other half we're gonna cut out and slope.
So the green area that you're showing that's below the red squiggly line, for example, that's abutting the
Right.
the
The
two
red
abutters
line
there.
is the limit of work.
Okay, so that's, and how
So on the
large is
back
area?
side, however, so this is all, the top of the hill is primarily right here where my arrow is, coming like this. And that's all dropping down towards the Sportsman's Club. So in order for us to build on the lot, we're gonna lower this, but then we're gonna build this up along the property line. So this will be about 15 to 20 feet in elevation when you walk out the back door of these houses. And so the idea was to try and get the berm high enough that even when you're looking out the second floor window, you can't see the Sportsman's Club, and they'll see probably the roof line, but they won't see the windows. So we tried to get the berm as high as the gutter line on the house.
But for lots, just again, so I understand, the abutters on, like, for example, behind lot 14, the Shaws, if you scroll down, there, lot 22, all of that green stuff is undisturbed.
This is all undisturbed. So this is the riverfront right here, the 200 foot. That's the limit of what actually goes down in here, but there's no work in the 200 foot riverfront area. So all this is staying green.
Okay.
You know,
The drainage.
the abutters, this is, you know, you say this is the abutter, but the abutter's house is way up here by the arrow.
But there's
house
green on
sits
the
up
other
here.
side too.
Yeah, there isn't a abutter over here, but this abutter sits right in here. This is all wooded behind his house. From that drain easement where it says drain easement back,
Mhm.
that's all wooded.
So that's great. And then for the other two abutters, that green space also would be
This will all
untouched?
stay right here, correct? All this over here is staying.
Okay, and then you're putting, that red line is something that you're putting up? Those were the squiggly lines. It looks like it's
The
red in
red
some places.
line in most spots is an erosion control barrier, which will signify the limit of work. So like the contractor will know he can't cut beyond that.
Well, that will make them happy to know that they'll have a little bit of space. How large is that area, the green area?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, that'd be helpful to know.
Yeah. I don't
And then the drainage basin, and just because I was trying to get my head around this, on number 3, the drainage basin, the top left corner there.
Oh, up here?
Yes, exactly. There's a solid dotted line there on the left-hand side. And then there's that red line. What is
This
that?
one right here?
Yes, no, There's
Well,
that, but then
that-
also,
This dash line right here, the red one?
yeah, so it looks like there's a couple of series. So I don't have the color coded plans. The ones that were online are black and white, so it looks a little bit different. But there's,
So this
Thank you.
line right here,
Mhm.
that's the 200-foot setback from the from the river, this river here, the unnamed river. And then this one, this is the stop river is actually off the paper. So that's the 200-foot riparian that comes all the way down like this.
So it
This
looks a
red
little different
line-
on my plan. If you look at the non-colored plan, there's two sets of dotted lines there. One is a square dotted line, that one that we see. And then there's a continued round dotted line that matches the red arc.
A circle?
I know, it looks like the red arc was more the 200-foot perimeter, and that straight line was something different. And I just was trying to understand the difference.
There should be circles on the lots too. I don't know if you seeing these circles?
No. So if you go to page 4, I'll explain better maybe. If you go to page 4, this is what I was kind of looking at first. Page 4 kind of showed the
Yep.
drainage basin. So
Okay,
see, there's that straight dotted line there.
This one?
That's yes, exactly.
Okay,
There's that
that's gonna
straight-
be the easement that goes around the basin that the town will have the rights to, so they can go in and fix it if it gets screwed up, if we don't maintain it properly. So there's an easement around the basement. So then this circle, that's just for zoning purposes. That's just required under zoning that you have the circle. And then this dash line that goes around the lot, and this one around the circle, that's the building setback line. You can't build. Those are the setbacks from the lot lines. I mean, we're not gonna be way down by the river, but that's the actual zoning setback line, not the setback from the river, but that's a zoning setback.
Okay, so that easement line isn't part of a boundary that's part of the drainage easement that's necessary because of the emergency runoff basin. That's something different?
No, that's the drainage easement for the drainage basin for the runoff. Yeah, no, that basin is built within that.
Okay, so now if you look at the black and white plans, and then if you go back to that page, which was, I think, is it page 11 we were looking at? Yeah, but actually go back up. I think we just were there.
Okay,
One
okay.
more page. Right. So, yes. So that line where the squigglies are, or whatever you want to
This
call
one
them.
here,
Yes, and that
That's-
continues. Yes.
that's the easement line. So the basin is within that. It goes around this spillway and it goes back to the property. So this whole piece right here around that line is all the drainage easement.
So then what is that straight dotted line to the left of the squiggly line?
Straight dotted to the left of this one here.
Yeah, so if you follow the squiggly, yeah, so if you follow that, is that the 200-foot?
This is the 200-foot right here, coming all the way
Okay.
down. I swear. This squiggly line you talk about,
Yes.
that's the
yes.
limit of work, yes.
Okay, so that squiggly line that continues up by the drainage basin, that's
Correct.
also the limit of work? Okay,
Correct.
okay. Got it. I thought it was, because they had that dotted line, I wasn't sure what that meant. Thank you, that was very helpful.
Okay.
Are
Anything
you all
else?
set, Eden?
I think so. I'm sure I'll have more when we see the revisions. Let me mute myself. Thank you very
There-
much.
There's another abutter, Kay Williams, that has a comment.
Okay.
You can just
Identify
unmute
yourself.
yourself and introduce yourself.
Hi, yes, I'm Kim Williams. And I do have a question about the berm because I was under the impression some from the earlier meetings that I live on Deerfield, that there would be a berm around the perimeter of where the abutters are to that development for the Deerfield Drive and the Lincoln people. But it looks like now it's going to be natural habitat. Is that correct? Like the part of that hill is going to be kept natural habitat?
Rob, go ahead.
So on this, let me go back to sharing the screen again.
Might as well just keep it up, Rob.
So this area that's dark green would stay natural. all this area for the people on Deerfield. But this elevation right here, along the top of that dark green area, will be higher than the house lots, final grade of the house lot. So this goes up and then it goes back down to the houses on Deerfield. So you're creating a berm, yes, but we're not building it necessarily artificially, all of it. The material's already there. We're just cutting down on the uphill side so that we'll be lower than the top of the berm when we're done. And then we're leaving the vegetation on the back hill side of it. I don't know
Okay,
if that,
so the side
does
that's.
that help?
So just a question, so the side of the hill that is facing Deerfield and also to property that is on Lincoln.
This here.
Yeah. So that land, that part of that hill, the natural habitat, so the trees will be there, anything
Right.
that, right, okay. So was that on the original plan? Because we
Yeah, it
were,
wasn't colored though. It's
'Cause we
not
were
colored
told-
for you on the original plans. It's just a squiggly line.
yeah, but we were told that it was actually going to be built, that a berm would be built.
Well, it technically is being built, but it's being built by grading on the back side of it. It's not like the one that's on the back side of the site, whereas we're actually physically putting all the material there.
Okay,
This material's already here. We're just
Yeah, so if
we're
we-
just gonna cut it down on one side and leave it standing up on the other.
okay. So if we look at that berm, it's not really a berm, it's just that. So
Yeah.
when we look at that, we will see all the things that are there now, the trees, the bushes.
You'll see some of it. I don't want to misrepresent you. That's not, when the trees come down, you'll see the clearing. You'll see through the woods.
Right,
What's
but
gonna be
on
left
our
there is
side,
not gonna be, I don't want you to get the impression that I'm leaving enough trees there that you'll never see any of these houses.
oh, I understand that, but on
Okay.
our side of the hill, you're not removing any trees
We're not removing all the trees, correct?
on our side of the hill.
On the downhill side of the hill.
Right, okay, okay, good.
So maybe Rob, just down by Deerfield Street on that side, what is the lowest elevation at your lot line? It's
I
hard,
think it goes down about 180 and then the top.
and then the
Sure.
top is,
194, 196 maybe. But still goes down on their property a little.
yeah,
Goes
so
up
it's about
16
14 feet.
Yeah,
up.
14 feet up. We actually, for those people who live right here, we staked this line in the field for you folks. My surveyors went out there and staked that last fall.
The top of the ridge that'll be
Yeah, we
left.
went out there for this, what's this woman's name at 545 McManus? Is that how I say it? Catherine? I don't know if she's on the line. Is that who was speaking?
That was, Kim Williams was who was speaking.
I'm not sure, maybe we have the abutter wrong, but we staked this for the abutter right here, and I think we staked her lot corners as well. So she could see the limit of clearing in the lot corners, if anyone wants to go out there and look at that. On the commission as well, that's staked. We staked that limit of clearing, that red line we staked in those corners.
Okay.
We did that for the abutter some time ago.
Okay,
Okay,
anything else?
great. I don't have anyone else in chat that I can see. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Now's the time.
Just a minor thing, Rob, on page 13, just lots 1 through 4 are labeled incorrectly. They should be lots 2 through 5.
Who is
Okay.
that speaking? Oh, is that Eden
It's
again?
Eden again,
Okay.
sorry. It was just
Well-
more of an FYI. It doesn't impact anything, but I'm assuming you probably want to clean up the plans so that they're labeled right.
Thank you.
Okay. Rob, how much time do you need to,
How much time do you want, how long do you want them, when do you want revisions submitted prior to the meeting? 10 days, 2 weeks?
10 days? would
You're
be
looking up
nice.
for. I mean, I don't want to give you plans like 2 or 3 days or 5 days before the meeting. You
Or a
want-
day before?
Yeah,
Um,
well, John wanted to bring you that today.
I
Yes,
know.
But if
I-
you want, I mean, we can go out 4 weeks. That'll give us 2 weeks to give you plans and 2 weeks for you to look at them.
I think that's a good
Mhm.
idea. Then that gives time for Carl to also take a look at them,
Mm.
so we can both be on the same page.
Yeah.
So you want to go to the 26th of February, or no, the 23rd of February?
Sure.
February 23rd. So do we have anything else on at this point, Landis?
Nothing advertised and scheduled.
Okay, so someone make this a motion to continue the Lincoln Road hearing until February 23rd, 7 PM.
I'll move it.
Second,
You have a second? Is that Al?
Al.
Is that it?
yeah,
Okay, all in favor, Dean?
Aye.
Bailey?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Medio?
Aye.
Betsy?
Aye.
Al?
aye.
Jack? Aye. Okay, so it's continued to February 23rd at 7 PM.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
Thanks
good
all.
night.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Now, Rob.
Let's see, what are we doing next? We have the land disturbance permit for 2220 Boston Providence Highway.
Yep. Town of Walpole Land Disturbance Permit Conservation Commission public hearing in accordance with the Walpole Stormwater and Erosion Control Bylaw and regulations. Notice is hereby given of the intent of Dry X Inc. to file a land disturbance permit application for activity associated with the construction of an 8,200 square foot building with parking, utilities, stormwater, and associated landscaping located at 2220 Boston Providence Highway, known as Route 1, Walpole, Mass. Plans on file with the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing on the above matter will be held during virtually accessible video on Zoom on January 26, 2022, beginning at 7:15 p.m. All interested parties are requested to be present. John Wiley, Chairman, Walpole Conservation Commission.
And I have a letter from Carl Bolduff, Town Engineer, dated January 26th. He references the plan set, memo from conservation agent, a document entitled Long-Term Operation and Maintenance Plan for Dry X Inc. And a multi-page report entitled Drainage Narrative and Assessment for Dry X. And let's see what else. Those are the reference documents that were reviewed. And these are the comments from Carl Bolduff. The drainage design and reports submitted are well done and appear to meet DEP stormwater and local standards. This office witnessed soil test in September and observed very well drained, sand, gravel, and no groundwater or redox features. The infiltration basin is at least several feet above seasonal high groundwater. We see no reason not to approve, however, we offer the following comments. On sheet C6, grading and drainage, provide rim grade for catch basin 7 slot drain on Hilltop Drive. Rim grade for DMH1 appears incorrect. Should it be 269.7 with a question? All manhole covers to be 26-inch with 24-inch clear opening, 6-inch perforated drain with gate valve connected to DMH in Hilltop Drive for infiltration basin drain is unusual, to be discussed in the subsequent comment. Sheet C8, soil erosion and sediment control plan. The plan proposes using the same basin for construction sediment control as for post-construction. I would recommend that the interim basin bottom elevation be furnished at least a foot high with the measures noted on the plan, and that the bottom foot be removed just prior to activating. Drainage narrative. There is no discussion in the narrative of the 6-inch drain in connection to the street drain system in Hilltop Drive. The applicant should provide proof they have the right to connect to this drain to Hilltop. A catchment area graphic should be included with the drainage pipe design calculations showing the catchments used in the rational method chart that was included in the report. We remain available should there be any questions, but site plan and spec permit review comments. The planning board shortly be brief and should not affect Conservation Commission deliberations. And I believe a copy was sent to Stephen Cabral. You have that?
Oh, I did receive an email
Okay,
just a couple of hours ago. Yes.
okay, good enough. So representing the applicant,
Yes, I'm Stephen Cabral with Crossman Engineering. And also Michael Wigney is here representing the applicant.
Yes, good evening. I will take more of a background role to Steve's technical expertise.
Okay. Oh, and if I
Yes,
may,
go
I'll
ahead.
just share my screen and quickly go through the project. And I believe you have a busy night, so I'll try to be brief. Let's see. Okay. I hope you're seeing a locus map. And again, the purpose of this is just to give everyone an indication of where the project is. It's on Route 1. Down at the far left corner would be Gillette Stadium, and at the far right side would be Interstate 95. And our site, it's a little less than an acre and a half. Right now it's wooded, and it's at the intersection of Route 1 and Hilltop. And Hilltop is the road where you would take to get to the preserve housing development. And basically what we're proposing is the new corporate headquarters of Dryex. Basically one of their specialties would be basement waterproofing. The project is in the Highway Business District, and it's not within any wellhead protection areas, but it is within the town's Watershed Protection District 3. And again, this is just another overview showing the property. Our little less than 1.5 acres is outlined in green. And the pink shading is really just to indicate to the planning board that all of the zoning on the abutting properties is the same. As I said, highway business, and it's in Watershed Protection District 3. On the left is an aerial view of what the site looks like today. It's definitely wooded. All of the land around the site is fully developed. And what we're proposing to build would be an 8,000 square foot building. And the front of the building is about 3,000 square feet, is going to be where the office will be. And at the back, it'll be more of garage bays for the vehicles and equipment for Dryex. We're proposing a relatively small parking area with enough maneuvering ability for fire trucks to be able to come in off Route 1 and loop around the building and then exit on Hilltop. The site is highest along Route 1, and it drops by about 8 to 10 feet from Route 1 to the back. And because of that natural topography, that's why we're locating an infiltration pond at the very back of the property. This plan provides the general topographic conditions. And as you can see, it's a very gradual drop off and slope towards the back. And all of these circular symbols represent the many test pits that we performed out there. Some of them we did on our own. Most we had Carl, the town engineer, witnessed. And because there are no public sewers, we also had some of the soil tests witnessed by the town's health agent, because we will have a small septic system. One thing I wanted to point out is that we're outside of any flood zone areas. The green area here with my cursor is where the site is. And as you can see, the nearest flood zone is, probably 1,000 feet or so, to the east. There are also no wetlands on the property. The site's a good sandy soil, and certainly no evidence of any wetlands, and there are no depressions on the site whatsoever. This is just the NRC, the Shoreline Conservation Service soil map. And we used this before we performed any soil tests, just to get an indication of what the soils are. And basically, NRCS, the Natural Resource Conservation Service, identifies the soil on the site as urban, meaning most of the land has been urbanized or tilled over the years. But we know that's not the case of our property. So we looked at the surrounding soil, and that was identified by NRCS as sandy loam. And then we followed up with the many soil tests that Carl mentioned in his letter. And this is just one of the samples of the soil logs. On this one, we excavated down about 10 feet, as you can see on the left. And the soil was all loamy sand, gravelly. It was all very good draining soil. And as Carl indicated, there was no sign of any seasonal high water table. So for the design, we're using a 10-foot deep water table. Now, when it comes to the overall drainage design, I'll just go right to it. Because we have such good soils and we have the ability of building an infiltration basin, the EX represents existing conditions, the PR, the proposed. And as you can see, for the runoff volume exiting the site, for all storms up to the 25-year storm event, we're going to capture all of the runoff and infiltrate it on site. It's only during the 100-year storm event that there'll be any effluents leaving our infiltration pond. And you can see that even that discharge is 73% less than the volume that discharges today. So in regards to any drainage issues in the area, there's going to be a significant benefit. Okay, what I have here is just the overall general layout plan to give you a feel of access. Basically, on Route 1, this is an area where there's a median down the center. So we only have right in, right out access on Route 1. So the intent will be employees could either come down Hilltop and enter, or they could take a right turn into the site. They park right at the office areas, and then they could exit, of course, with the right turn only. We wanted to minimize disturbance, so we kept the number of parking spaces to the absolute minimum. You know, you could see we have a lot of excess space where we could have added more impervious, more parking, but we really didn't feel that that was necessary. And with this parking we're providing, it does meet the essentially the minimum required by zoning. And it does actually provide just as much parking that the corporate headquarters of Dryex needs. Okay, this is the grading plan. And basically, we designed the site in a manner to minimize cut and fills throughout the site. Now, in order to do that, we basically took advantage of the natural terrain. As you enter from Route 1, there'll be a gradual slope down. And then the garage bay areas are slightly lower than the general office area. And then, of course, because of the garage bay doors on both sides of the building, the ground will be relatively level around the building. And then there'll be a slight 2-foot elevation drop to get to Hilltop. And as you can see, all of the drainage will be collected on site with catch basins, and they'll be routed into this infiltration pond. And the shaded areas at the top and to the left represent the location where the septic systems, the leach fields will be. Now, at Dryex, the maximum amount of employees is relatively low. So the amount of septic system effluent is essentially no more than a 4-bedroom home. So it's not a very high user of septic flow. And again, we'll be applying to the Board of Health for the leach fields, and we will not be seeking any waivers by any means. Now, with the runoff, we also have an adjacent, right now it's vacant, but there's a paved parking lot and it looks like an abandoned building. Some of their runoff actually drains onto the site. So what we've done, we've accommodated their flow by installing a swale so that we can capture their runoff. We'll have it flow through a sediment forebay to help remove the larger solids. And then our infiltration basin is actually sized to infiltrate all of their runoff up to the 25-year storm event also. Now, I did hear the chairman say as he was reading Carl's letter that there was a question about a 6-inch pipe. And what that is, it's in the 6-inch pipe is not needed for the operation of the system. What we try to do, and what we always do, when we design a system, we try to match the DEP recommended design as much as possible. And in the DEP Stormwater Handbook, what they recommend, where feasible, that you install a perforated 6-inch pipe below the bottom of the infiltration basin with the gate valve. And as you can see right here, we say that the gate valve will be closed at all times other than for pond maintenance. And the only reason for that 6-inch pipe is so that during maintenance, when you're, say, removing any sand or silt, if there is any pockets of water, that you could open up that gate valve and just help expedite draining of the pond during construction. But as I said, it's not part of the operation during rain events because that gate will be closed at all times other than maintenance. So if there is any concern, that 6-inch pipe could just be eliminated. Okay, next. Okay, the next plan provides essentially the overall utilities. It shows that we'll be bringing a new 8-inch water main down from Route 1 down Hilltop into the new building. We also will have underground electric and telephone going to the building, a gas service, and at the top left, we'll have our 1,500-gallon septic tank flowing into our standard leach field, which will be in the grassed area. And on this sheet, we have our standard soil erosion and sediment control plan, where we discuss measures to control dust and any type of potential erosion during construction. And essentially, on this site, it was relatively easy because everything drains from Route 1, down to the back. So we're proposing, of course, the silt fence or the compost filter sock around the entirety of the site, at the bottom along Sunset, and we're also proposing it at the top to protect the future infiltration basin. Now, because all of the runoff naturally drains towards the back Sunset, we looked at different options to create a sediment forebay, and what we decided was the most effective option would be to partially excavate the area of the infiltration basin, line it with the filter fabric, and then utilize that for the temporary sediment pond. And then when the site is stabilized, we will actually be able to remove any silt that's collected, remove the silts, the filter fabric, and then we would continue with construction of the full infiltration basin. Normally, we wouldn't use an infiltration pond as a sediment pond, but because of the topography, we felt that it's really the only option, and we can mitigate any potential impacts by utilizing a filter fabric on top of the excavation. And as you can see here, we do mention dust control notes. We want to make sure the contractor's aware that he may need to utilize water or calcium to control any dust that could impact the area. And we have all of our standard details. Okay, continuing on, we just have our standard construction details of, the curbing, the sidewalks, and so on. We will have a concrete pad for any type of waste disposal. And we have additional details, like we're recommending to put in a groundwater monitoring well through the bottom of the infiltration basin. And that will allow us to monitor the water table, at any time during the year. And would also allow us to take water quality samples if there was ever any need to. Then we also provide details of how the earthen berm will be constructed so that water will remain in the infiltration pond and seep. And basically, we have an impermeable soil core so that water won't seep through it. And then, as Carl mentioned in the letter, the bottom of the infiltration basin is substantially higher than the groundwater that we anticipate. And the details show that the bottom of the pond is well over 5 to 6 feet higher than the seasonal high water table. And again, that's a very conservative estimate because we actually, excavated more than 10 feet and we never did hit any sign of a seasonal high water table. And then we have our standard catch basin and drainage details, water notes, septic system details. Then we also prepared a lighting plan to show that the design would be dark sky compliant. The parking lot and walkways will be lit so that safety will not be an issue, but we've laid out the lighting so that there would be no impact onto the abutting properties. And we also have a landscape plan where, from an aesthetic point of view, the building will certainly be attractive from Route 1 and Hilltop and Sunset, But we also added an evergreen screen at the edge of the parking lot. So that, and one of the main reasons was so that in the evenings or whenever the sky is dark, if there were a vehicle to pull in, the intent is that the evergreens would block any headlights from shining across Sunset. And just more landscape details, the floor plan of the building. And as I said, we have about 3,000 square feet of the general office space, and then about 5,000 square feet of the truck bays in the back. And then we also provided the general image of what the building facade would look like. At the very bottom, this would be the view from, let's see, from Route 1. And of course, this would be the view from the main parking area. So it will be I consider it to be an attractive building. We also provided for the fire department a truck turning template to show that the fire trucks could enter the sites without having to extend into the opposing lanes, and they could maneuver around the sites and back out through Hilltop. And we've also identified areas along the front side and back for snow storage. And of course, if there was any significant storm event, there may have to be some removal, but for your typical snow events, we do have adequate space for snow stockpiling. We do not recommend that it be stockpiled in the infiltration basin because we don't want to have the subsoil compacted. And that was another reason we put the evergreens there, so the snow would not be easily pushed into that area. Now that's a very quick overview. And as I said, we did receive Carl's letter just hours ago, and I haven't even had a chance to read it all, but based on the description that the chairman, well, based on listening to the chairman's read of the letter, we don't see any issue with Carl's comments whatsoever. In my understanding, of course, the main bullet point that I gathered from it was he had indicated that the overall design is acceptable, and he didn't see any reason, for any major changes. They all seem to be relatively minor. And it looks like his main question was the reason for that 6-inch. And as I said, that's solely there as an option to assist during maintenance, but it has no impact whatsoever during a rain event because that gate valve will be closed at all times.
Okay. Landis?
Yeah, so I just received Carl's letter late too. I asked for him to get one together before this hearing, and we both agreed that the stormwater management was done rather well and very thoroughly. So one of my questions is, as we're looking at this picture right now, is it's a vegetated site. I can't tell from the picture if that's mostly trees. If you looked at the site, I think in our stormwater erosion control bylaw, it does ask to sort of give an inventory of the vegetation on the site and if there's anything that can be used in the design or saved. So that would be one of my questions. It didn't seem like from your plan that anything was going to be saved. I was looking at your landscape plan, and it was I couldn't quite tell how many trees were going to be planted. There didn't seem to be a number of the amount of trees that were going to be planted. So I was wondering about that. Then the other thing I noticed is with your dumpster down to the rear of the lot next to the infiltration basin, I did notice you had a fence, but I like to see a pad with a rim, just because you're right up against a basin and we just want to prevent anything from getting into the basin. I didn't get to all your material. It was all very thorough. Maybe if you could just go over briefly your phasing of the lot, how you're going to go in. I'm assuming you're going to go in and cut down all the trees and put erosion control up and grub and prepare. But if you can just briefly describe that. And then I just have, my other comments are more that would be conditions if the commission closes and issues a decision.
Okay. Oh, and I'll hopefully I'll remember your other questions, but basically, because of the change in topography from front to back, and as I said, there's about an 8 to 10 foot drop from front to back, and we need to build a level pad to create room for a functional building. And because of the need for a level pad for the building, as well as need to build a septic system, which really can't have mature trees within 10 feet because we can't have the tree roots growing into the system. We do essentially have to remove all of the existing woods on the property, unfortunately. And that's why we had our landscape architect, prepare a thorough landscape design. When it comes to the phasing, everything certainly will be built in one phase. And let me go to the, whoops. Yeah, so basically, we pretty much have a general sequence of events where first, before anything takes place, they need to install all of the erosion controls around the perimeter. Then they can begin doing the tree clearing. But before they begin doing any earth removal, they need to build the temporary sediment pond at the low end of the property, so that as soon as they begin moving any of the soil, we want to make sure that that sediment basin is in place. So for this site, again, seeing it's about 1.3 acres, it's less than 1.5 acres. It really has to be done in one phase, install the erosion controls, do the tree clearing, install the sediment basin. And only after those steps are completed can they actually begin removing or moving around the soil. And for order of magnitude, we estimate that the amount of excavation on site is going to be about 1,500 cubic yards, but we also estimate that we'll need about 2,500 cubic yards of fill to be brought in. So we have not designed this site to have a net removal of soil. We intend to keep the soil on site permanently, and we'll just have to bring in new material to create that good gravel subbase for the buildings. Okay. And when it comes to the dumpster corral, let me see. We do have a 6-inch reinforced concrete pad, but I do agree it's a good idea that we could install a 6-inch lip on the outer edge of that dumpster pad. There's certainly, that would be easy to do, and that is a good idea. Now, when it comes to the landscaping, let me go. Yeah, I mean, I could easily have someone count, but as you can see on the right side, the column, the items in that column just represents the variety of species. Yeah. So this indicates 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So essentially 9 different species of trees and a dozen or so shrubs. Now, the truth is, in the old days, we used to always give a count on our plan set, but we found that there was an issue with contractors if there was an issue where the plan didn't match the count, which one. So we have our landscape architect design the landscaping, provide the size and variety as opposed to the count. But we could certainly provide that, to you. There's certainly well over a couple of dozen. Oh, actually, if we looked in each little area, for example, right along the infiltration basin, this shows that there are 17 of that specific variety, and then an additional 6. And on the right-hand side, there'd be 7 of the HPs.
Yeah, it just, I was starting to do that, but it was getting cumbersome to look at the chart to find out what the species was and then go to the plan to look at how many of them. But yes. I guess the point would be that the trees are hopefully hardy, somewhat comparable indigenous trees and not just decorative ornamentals that will have some value for shading and climate control.
Yes, that is certainly good points, and that is one of the goals of our landscape architect.
Okay.
And we
So
do
I
agree.
think you pretty much answered all of my questions.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. So you done, Landis, that's it for now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm all set.
Okay, Dean,
Yeah, no questions. I thought it was thorough.
Bailey,
No questions.
Doug?
I have a couple questions. One of your plans showed a vehicle fueling area. Is that only during the construction phase, or is that the whole time it's occupied?
That is only during construction. And the only reason we show that is that's one of the recommended features that DEP and EPA recommend that we include on a soil erosion control plan. And that's really not meant for trucks. It's like if they have we'll say like a chainsaw, you know, that type of equipment, certainly not vehicles.
Okay, and I understand. And then another question I wondered about is, inside the building, is there any chemical storage going on there?
Only, no chemical. There would only be solid products like their equipment. But so if for some reason they happen to have any, let's see, it's not a company that relies upon large volumes of chemicals. So it would only be small quantities that you would typically find at any type of business. Oh, one thing I should have mentioned, and I'm glad you brought that up, because there will be vehicles inside the truck bays, there will be a floor drain. And what we're proposing is that all of the floor drains will be connected into a solid holding tank. And that holding tank would have to be pumped and brought to a licensed facility. We wanted to make sure that the floor drain certainly cannot go into our septic system and certainly not into our drainage system.
And Steve, can I jump in on the chemical question real quick?
Yes.
The company Drycrete Waterproofing acts basically as the hub for a predominantly off-site contracting business. Most of the work that they do is installation of sump pumps and other kind of basement management systems. So what will be predominantly on this site are the offices that manage those appointments and the business itself. And then the back area for truck bays and storage will be predominantly hard materials like, aggregate and, equipment based on like mechanics, actual pumps and things, including all of the trucks that are going to be going to homes. So minimal or non-existent chemical storage.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions.
Okay, Video,
No questions.
Betsy,
Two comments. So the company is Dry-X. I guess you keep people's property dry, and that was a very thorough presentation. This property is not going to have a drop of water where it doesn't belong. I can see that. Also, it's a very beautiful building. But that's it. Just two comments.
Oh, thank you.
Al?
No comment. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, what do you, the runoff from the parking area is, what's the treatment for that?
Okay, there are two primary methods of treatment. Because we have the soil is a very sandy and it has a high infiltration rate, we're obligated to remove 44% of the total suspended solids before the water gets to the infiltration basin. So we have two mechanisms for that. We have the deep sump catch basins, then we have a sediment forebay, and only after the water flows through the deep sump basins and a sediment forebay does it overflow into the main body of the infiltration basin. So essentially, we're going to remove the majority of the solids before it gets to the main body of the pond, where the water will seep into the sandy soil.
Okay, what about oil dripping and that sort of thing that is typically on a parking lot?
Oh, for all of the deep sump catch basins, we're going to have hoods. And so the reason for the hoods is that they provide an opportunity. Let's see if I have a detail. Oh, on my screen, I see the attendees. Whoops.
So it's a typical skimmer for oil and gas.
Yes, we have a typical hood. Oh, here it is, the catch basin hood.
Okay.
And so with that, so any floatable is going to be kept inside the basin because of the hood.
Okay, and do you have a maintenance schedule for that? Is that shown on?
We do, as a separate document, we provided
Okay.
a operation and maintenance plan.
Okay, good enough. Okay, anybody in the audience have any questions or comments? See anything, anybody, Landis?
If there's anyone in the audience, you can just unmute yourself and speak up, or let us know in chat.
Okay.
There doesn't seem to be any comments.
You say, Landis, you had some comments if we close the hearing that you'd like to go with it for the order. So we'll take a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Dean,
Aye.
Bailey? Bailey? You're muted. There you go.
Aye.
Bailey?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, Doug?
Aye.
Emilio?
Aye.
Betsy?
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
Jack? Aye. Okay. So the hearing's closed, and Landis, you have some conditions that you want to include?
So other than our boilerplate, which is usually a pre-construction meeting, I would include that the infiltration basin, that an as-built be submitted prior to it being open for post-construction discharge. That an as-built be completed and provided to the Conservation Commission and the town engineer. And that we would include the condition for the dumpster to be on a pad with a rim.
Okay, and we need to address that 6-inch pipe. That, was that actually connected to a drain on Hilltop?
Oh, may I speak?
Yeah, yes, go ahead.
Oh, yes, it is connected, but as I said, the gate is closed at all times during the storm events, and it was only intended to be open during maintenance. So if there's any concern, we could just eliminate that 6-inch pipe. It's not necessary. And it wasn't even part of any of the drainage design calcs.
Okay, I'm just wondering, instead of connecting it to the drain, if you removing stuff from there, that you just put it out on the ground. I don't know if that works topographically or not, and then clean up anything that needs to be cleaned up afterwards.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We can certainly eliminate it. We could raise it, but if we can't daylight it, we could just eliminate it.
And
Okay,
I think part of the point was just the Hilltop is not a public way, it's a private way. So just to have verification that you have permission to access that.
Oh, how about if we just agree to remove it, and then that'll just eliminate any concern.
Okay, is that all right, Landis? You see any problem with that?
That's fine with me.
Okay, so we'll just eliminate that 6-inch drain then.
And then
make
I also just wanted to put a condition in regarding the So the landscaping, that they be native species and low maintenance, low water maintenance.
Okay. And that should be reviewed by you, by the agent? The landscaping,
If the list changed,
yeah, I don't know if, from that list, if you can tell whether they're low water usage or if there's a better substitute plant that would be better. So you may want to just put in there that whole list to be reviewed by the agent.
okay.
Anybody have anything else? Okay, someone make that a motion?
So moved.
Second,
All in favor? Dean?
Aye.
Bailey?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Medio?
Aye.
Betsy?
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
Jack? Aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a next item is Cedar Street.
Okay. Town of Walpole Notice of Intent, Conservation Commission Public Hearing in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice is hereby given of the intent of Patrick Buckman to construct a patio and fence landscaping at 52 Cedar Street, Walpole. Plans are on file at the Conservation Commission office. The public hearing on the above matter will be held on January 26th, 2022 during virtually accessible video Zoom beginning at 7:30. All interested parties are requested to be present. John Wiley, Chairman, Walpole Conservation Commission.
Okay, representing the applicant.
Russell Waldron. Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead with your presentation, Will.
Yeah, so Patrick is proposing to build a patio off the back of his house and do some grading in his rear yard to level it out and expand it some. And install a 6-foot high chain link fence around the newly cleared portion of his backyard. And the part of the backyard has been cleared already. A number of large pines were taken down, many of them storm damaged, and that was done last year, I believe, before Patrick knew that he had a wetland back there, as far as I can remember from talking to him last year. I forget if it was his landscaper that gave him the heads up, and so that's why he ended up coming in with the NOI. And as far as, you know, how much fill is going to come into the backyard, that has not been determined yet, as far as I know. And so that's it, really. It's pretty simple. He's going to have an arborvitae hedge coming up one side and some other trees planted around the yard.
Russ, you can't share the plan?
Yeah, I think I can. Hang on.
That would be very helpful.
So you just hit share screen.
Yeah.
Yep.
That work?
Nope.
No. I'm not really sure how you do it.
Russ,
You gotta
I can
select on your
I can
screen.
share it if you'd like. This is Patrick Buckman. This is my property. Russ is representing me here, but I can share it if that's helpful.
Yes, please do.
Okay.
Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Great.
Okay.
So if you want to just point and describe the components of the project? Can you-
Sure. Yeah, I can do that. So everything in red are the proposed changes. So essentially, here's the proposed patio at the back of the house, which is sort of connects to the concrete pad and comes off of the back of the deck. And then as you can see, the proposed 6-foot chain link fence around the perimeter of the property up to the current tree line. And then you can see some of the proposed grading changes also in red here with the existing in the background there. And then some of the landscaping is still yet to be determined. Also, this is kind of just an idea at the moment, but I want an evergreen hedge here along this side of the property, just for privacy from neighbors. And then there's some trees proposed here as well. I plan on planting as many trees back there as I can, and planting lots of native plants and having a vegetable garden and things like that. So all those, I've yet to determine the placement of all that just yet, but this is more for the filling and grading of the yard and the patio and fence.
Okay. Landis?
Okay, great, thanks. That's always helpful for everyone to see the plan up on the screen. So looks like you have erosion control, the silt sock going all the way along the perimeter where the fence is going to be proposed, chain link fence is located as well in between the proposed activity and the wetlands. Right. So it should wrap all the way around to also delineate your limit of work. Are you planning to bring in fill, or are you just going to be grading?
Yeah, so I am planning on bringing in fill. I got an estimate last year from a local contractor to bring in some fill to level it out.
So they'll come in from your driveway and stockpile it and move it where they need to. Is that?
Yeah, exactly. This is open to the backyard, so they can come right down the driveway and drop it in the back.
Okay. All right. I don't have any other questions at this point.
Okay. Dean?
Let's see. Yeah, so do you have an idea where you're gonna stage the stockpiles, just right off your paved driveway? Have we come to this point yet?
Do you mean as the fill is brought in?
Yep.
I don't have those details right now. I got just an initial estimate and kind of a rough plan and a rough idea of what would be done from a local excavating contractor. We didn't get into that many details because he helped me identify that there were wetlands on the property, which I didn't know previously. I had purchased the house in March 2020.
Yeah.
So we didn't really get into those kind of details just yet, but yeah, I don't know.
I probably should stockpile everything outside the buffer. Yeah, and then this is probably gonna be there for a while, especially with some of that equipment. So we don't know what equipment's gonna be used or anything either, huh? Probably a bulldozer, but we have no idea.
That would be my guess, but I don't know specific equipment, no.
Okay.
Yeah, typically whatever fill is going to be brought in to be used for grading would be brought in and graded as it's dumped. They generally they don't just stockpile it somewhere and then like at the end of the driveway and then have to push it all down towards the backyard. They'll probably start at the lowest point and dump a load and grade it and then grade it back as they're bringing it in.
All right, no more questions.
Okay. Bailey?
No questions.
Doug?
No questions.
Emilio?
Are you proposing any, or Landis, would it be a good idea to put some plaques along the 25-foot no disturb?
That was something I was waiting for one of the commissioners to bring up, so it would probably be a good idea.
Okay, I would propose that, yeah. Are you taking any trees down? Are there trees in this area right now?
There are no more trees to be taken down now.
Okay, all right.
Can you just explain what the first point you made was? I'm not sure I fully understood what that meant.
Along the 25-foot, and Landis can kind of describe that a little bit better, but along the 25-foot no disturb line, we typically request no disturb plaques. There's a standard plaque and a bound that we recommend along the perimeter along that line, and like I said, Landis can kind of tell you how many or where we think they should be placed.
Okay.
So it's kind of a note also to future homeowners, since you purchased the property and didn't realize there was wetlands there. So if what we do with is we have concrete or granite posts about 1.5 to 2 feet high that have a sign on them saying no alteration beyond this point. Conservation Commission generally goes on the 25-foot no alteration area to signify to the next person, wait a minute, there's something there I need to look into if they haven't looked into. Right now, this order of conditions will be recorded at the Registry of Deeds. So that is a flag as far as future owners. But since the first 25 feet from the wetlands line upgrade is no alteration as per the bylaw. What are you planning on doing anything beyond the fence area, between the fence and the 25-foot no alteration area? Is that treed at the moment?
There are trees beyond that point, yes, and I don't plan on touching any of that area.
So the commission might consider putting the plaques near the chain link fence, since areas were already cleared prior to. That might work better.
Okay. Media, anything else?
No.
Betsy?
No question, just a comment. I'm really impressed with the number of garden areas you've planned. This looks like a really exciting landscape design. We don't usually see it quite so elaborate.
Thank you. I do plan on restoring as much of the area as I can. So yeah, I don't plan on just leaving it bare lawn. Definitely not.
Al?
My question is the backyard that he's going to fill. It doesn't indicate on the plan how much fill he's going to put there and what's going to keep it from washing out under the fence. I have no problem with the proposed patio, but I don't think we see anything to stabilize the fill to keep it from washing towards the wetland. And the other comment is that he may not know that arborvitaes like dessert for the deer, and a 6-foot fence won't keep deer out. Deer will go over a 6-foot fence like it isn't even there. So I think he ought to look at something else other than arborvitaes. Check and see what plants the deer don't like. Now, I know from my own yard that deer don't like holly because of the prickly leaves, but they eat almost anything else, including the yews and the arborvitaes up to as far as they can reach. So that's a couple of things, but stabilizing to make sure it doesn't just wash out under the fence is, I think, important. Okay.
So Al, if I may, and I apologize for this, we did notice that there was not grade elevations in the first plan. So a revised plan was submitted just today digitally, which I put up on the website and which is shown on the screen right now. So this particular plan does have grades for the backyard and around the patio, while the plan that you have doesn't.
Okay. I just want to make sure that that's going to be stable, and he doesn't bring fill in it to wash it away on him.
Yep,
Okay.
Isn't there a silt fence?
yes.
Around
Compost
there?
sock.
That's what I thought. Okay.
And there's a detail of it. Maybe he scrolled
Okay.
up.
All right, and as far as the plaques go, if you use the fence for your plaques, I guess you don't, you say it's all wooded behind the fence. That's correct. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Do you have any problem putting these plaques on the fence where your chain link fence is?
I don't have any issue with that, no.
Okay, then why don't we put one, see which direction are we on here? I don't see the north arrow, so I can't tell you which is which. But I would think at the, when I'm looking at the map is at the bottom where the silt fence, where the chain link fence is, and it goes towards the top, almost a straight line. Yeah, well, no.
Here? Are you talking about
starting-
here?
yeah, Starting there, yeah. So you put one on the corner there on your property line. Yeah, there. The next corner. Yeah, right there. And then one, what's the scale on this? What's the scale on the drawing?
1 inch is 20 feet.
One is 20. So probably one halfway up the length of the fence.
Up the side?
And, yeah, somewhere's around in there. And then one further up where that bends. I don't see what that stone wall is it?
Yes.
Okay, so one up there. Keep going up a little more. Yeah, right about there.
Okay.
I would move it back to where the stone wall, you got a line there. I assume that is that the stone wall?
Yeah, where the stone wall curves right after the
Right here.
fence. Yeah.
Yeah, just keep it, so you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4 plaques.
Okay.
And you can get the detail from the office on what goes on the plaque. In this case, if that fence is all the way up there, you could mount it on the fence. Since that would be permanent. Those posts would be permanent. Is that okay, Landis?
Yeah, what we would do is we just reference it in the order.
Yeah, okay.
the
Okay,
four plaques.
all right. So, anybody have anything else? Okay, someone make a motion for the, to close the hearing.
I'll move it.
A second? Okay, second, was Al. All in favor, Dean,
Aye.
Bailey,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Medio,
Aye.
Betsy,
Aye.
Al,
Aye.
Jack, aye. Okay, and the order, as we have stated, anything else to add on there? You need anything?
We'll
to
just
review with
reference
you?
the 4 plaques and the, just if there's any stockpiling of material that it should be ringed by another set of erosion control. And
Was there any issue with tracking, or is that driveway paved?
Yes, it's paved.
Just put in something on there that if the dirt gets carried down in the street, it needs to be cleaned up.
okay.
Anything else? Okay, someone make that a motion?
I'll move it.
So move.
All right, then I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Dean,
Aye.
Bailey,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Emilio,
Aye.
Betsy,
Aye.
Al,
Aye.
Jack, aye. Okay, thank you very much. Takes care
Thank
of
you.
that one.
Thank you all very much.
Okay.
you.
Land disturbance, South Street.
Yep, South Street, Town of Walpole request for determination of applicability. Well, no, let me go backwards. Town of Walpole Land Disturbance Permit Conservation Commission public hearing in accordance with the Stormwater Erosion Control bylaw. Given the intent of the Neponset Solar LLC to install a ground mounted solar installation outside of the conservation jurisdiction at 455 South Street, Walpole. Plans for the land disturbance permit are on file with the Conservation Commission. Public hearing on the above matter will be held at Town Hall beginning January 12th at 7 p.m. All interested parties are to be present. It was continued from the 12th to this evening. The original advertisement was for both the request for determination and land disturbance permit, but the commission closed the determination last meeting. All done.
Okay.
So
Do we
the
have a formal
applicant has
request?
requested a continuance. Michael, do you want to speak to that, or?
Yeah, so at our previous Conservation Commission meeting, I was in attendance, as well as our engineer Greg Dixon and several other members of our technical planning team. We had several different comments on the plans as submitted, including several requests to turn narrative portions of the drainage plan into plan sets. In order to accommodate all of the commission's requests, as well as the planning board's requests, we are revising the plan sets and have a meeting scheduled to confirm that those revisions are what was requested with Landis and with Carl Balduff. That's next week. And given that we needed time to revise the plan sets, we requested a continuance.
Okay,
And is February 9th good?
Yes,
Enough
February
time?
9th is, well, let me just confirm with you, Landis. If we meet on the 1st to review the plans, by when do you need the full-size printed plan sets? Sorry.
If you can get them to me by the 4th, that's enough time. I'm assuming we'll be sitting down agreeing to the changes, so there won't be really any need for review after that.
That would be my expectation too. We will make sure to get them to you by February 4th. So assuming that's enough time for the hearing on the 9th, then we would like to continue to the 9th.
Okay, someone make that a motion to continue the hearing until 7:30 on February 9th.
I'll move.
So
it.
moved.
All right, then I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Dean,
Aye.
Bailey,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Emilio,
Aye.
Betsy,
Aye.
Al,
Aye.
Jack, aye. Okay, thank you. Okay, next hearing is land disturbance permit for 585 Washington Street. Landis, have you got the,
Yep, Town of Walpole Land
Notice.
Disturbance Permit Conservation Commission public hearing in accordance with Walpole's Stormwater Erosion Control bylaw and regulations. Notice is hereby given of the intent of Anna Nardon and John Lipolis to construct an access road and related appurtenant utilities and stormwater systems at 585 Washington Street in Walpole. Plans for the land disturbance permit are on file with the Conservation Commission. Public hearing on the above matter will be held at Walpole Town Hall or Zoom. First hearing was October 13th, 2021, beginning at 8:15, and it was continued since then to tonight. John Wiley, Chairman, Walpole Conservation Commission.
Okay, representing the applicant.
Dan Marican with Legacy Engineering.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, Dan Marican, Legacy Engineering here on behalf of the applicant. We were before you in October. This is a proposed 6-lot, single-family subdivision located at 585 Washington Street. It's close to the Bird School, just beyond the Bird School, heading towards Norwood on the left. At the time, there's no wetlands in the property, so this is strictly a land disturbance permit. At the time, we basically had not yet appeared before the planning board. And so since the October meeting, we have been working with the town engineer and Landis and the planning board on a series of very minor plan changes. The substance of the design has not changed at all. If you recall, this is kind of a unique site because all of the surrounding areas drain down into the property. There's a low point at the bottom of the property here, right in the middle. And so it's really impossible for runoff to leave the property or for erosion to leave the property. So we have a stormwater basin designed here to accommodate the additional runoff from the proposed homes and the proposed road. We have a comprehensive stormwater management design, which has been reviewed by Carl. And we have an erosion control plan and a stormwater pollution prevention plan that basically spells out all the traditional requirements for sediment and erosion control, including construction entrances, perimeter controls, periodic inspections, all of the things that are normally required. I know that Landis has a few notes that she would like added to the plan, which we're happy to do, but we're hoping that we can maybe close this tonight and we can deal with that as a condition of approval. Beyond that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, Landis?
Yes, my notes are relatively minor and can be included in conditions or on plan change. Just as far as the phasing notes, I just noticed that it should include the installation to install the construction entrance in phase 1. Then the construction of the infiltration basin also should be included in phase 1. And then once the infiltration basin is constructed, that it should be ringed by orange construction fence, just so it's not, no machinery is driving in and out of that area. Documentation of the catch basin clean out at the end of phase 1 should be provided to the Conservation Commission. Infiltration basin as-built provided to the Conservation Commission prior to post-construction discharge, and infiltration basin should not be used for construction stormwater management.
And those are all not an issue.
Okay. Dean?
No questions.
Bailey?
No questions.
Doug?
No questions.
Emilio?
No, no questions.
And Betsy?
No questions.
Al?
No questions.
Okay, I think we need to, in the order, explain that the maintenance of that retention basin is divided between 2 lots. Is that correct?
Correct. So there's an O&M plan that's already prepared that you guys can append, which I think is your tradition, to your land disturbance, and that'll get recorded with it.
Okay. All right. So that goes with that.
And the planning
with,
board prepares a separate O&M covenant as well that also gets recorded.
all right. And the same that on lot 5 is that that
There's an
homeowner's responsibility.
Yeah, there's an underground infiltration system for the driveway for this lot. And then this is an existing depression that we're preserving to ensure there's no offsite impacts.
Okay,
But yeah, those will all be the maintenance responsibility of Lot Path.
okay. Okay,
And Dan, I'm sorry, the retaining wall is, where is that retaining wall located on your plan?
It's along the south side in this vicinity here.
Okay, and your detail is of the interlocking block wall?
Correct.
Okay, so that's what should be built. If there's a change, you'll have to come request a change.
There's a note on the plan that we may replace it with a slope. We're working with this abutter, so I think it is likely that the wall will go away and it'll just become a slope. But yeah, if we change the style of wall, absolutely, we'll come back to you.
So it may just be a graded slope.
Correct.
okay. Okay, someone make a motion to close the hearing?
So move.
Second.
All in favor, Dean,
Aye.
Bailey,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Medio?
Aye.
Betsy,
Aye.
Al,
Aye.
Jack, aye. Okay, the order, Landis, you have, do we need to make a note about that wall or just wait and see what happens?
I guess wait and see what happens.
Okay.
I mean, usually we don't, if it's an interlocking wall that's going to be structural, we don't really want that it to change over to a rock wall, which has not been structural, but how high is that, Dan?
There aren't any rocks out there, so it's only 3.5 feet. It's really
Okay,
not a
right,
structural.
and
It's not a significant wall.
Okay. Okay, so we don't need anything else that we need to include other than what you had mentioned in your report?
No.
Okay, all right, someone then make a motion to accept the order as noted.
I'll move it.
We have a second?
I'll second.
That was Bailey. Okay, thank you. All in favor, Dean? I think Dean is muted.
Say it again.
Okay, we're voting for the order. Was that, so are you in favor?
Yep. Aye.
Okay, Bailey,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Emilio,
Aye.
Betsy,
Aye.
Al,
Aye.
Jack, aye. Okay, thank you.
Thanks for your time. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay, what is next? We have Bubbling Brook.
Okay. Hold on a second. Okay, Town of Walpole, notice of intent, Conservation Commission public hearing in accordance with the Walpole Wetlands Protection Act and Walpole Protection Bylaw. Notice is hereby given of the intent of Michael and Sarah Madden to install an in-ground pool and patio at 48 Bubbling Brook, Walpole. Plans are on file with the Conservation Commission. Public hearing on the above matter will be held in Walpole Town Hall or Zoom, originally December 8th, 2021, continued to this date, January 26th. All interested parties are to be present. Jack Wiley, Chairman.
Okay. Representing the applicant,
That'd be myself, Bernard Hamel, sir.
okay? And what would you like to present to us this evening?
Well, if I can get into screen sharing, I have a overview of what we presented to the commission and the last iteration. Basically, we tried to take your last set of comments to heart, and we pulled the wall in significantly, reduced the area of disturbance significantly. We've gone from 4,300 square feet down to about 2,000 square feet, which is a 50% reduction of the disturbed area. We have, and that's in the outer riparian zone. We completely redesigned the wall and provided a maximum height of 8 feet. In some places, it was previously 9.5 feet. So we reduced that down considerably. We also removed the fill on the, for the most part, on the exterior of the wall. We did leave a little bit in this particular corner here, just for grading purposes and to keep that wall at 8 feet and consistent reveal all the way around. So we've actually projected the wall less into the riparian zone than it previously was. We've also added a no disturb area here as part of the project construction, so that this is the limit of work along this little blue line here, you can see. And we also have, for drainage purposes, pretty much a 5-foot landscaping area all the way around the patio area to collect any water. It'll be filtered through the through the drainage system at the base of the wall, which is a stone filtration system, and then exits at various points from the wall into the wetland area. We did try to minimize the impact as much as possible. We did also provide some alternatives as part of our submission. I don't know if you can see them very well. Normally I rotate these around. Let's see. I'll take that one a little bit more. This was our, this is our proposed project area. Let's see if I can blow that up a little bit. Again, this is our final alternative. We did come up with some other sketches that we had previously looked at where we had the pool projecting extensively. This was one of the sketches that you requested. We also looked at a major wall where we're coming right up to the no disturb zone. This is sketch 2. And this was another sketch that we looked at before we came down to the proposal we looked at last week, which had the wall area coming out here. We have backed that off considerably, such that we are now pretty much minimizing that impact and getting it down to total of 2,006 square feet in work in the riparian zone. Hopefully this meets with your approval, and we would hope we could close this meeting out tonight.
Okay, thank you. Landis?
Yes, I thank you for taking another look at this site and seeing how you could minimize the project, taking some of the activity out of the riverfront area. I appreciate that. My only question is the areas between the wall and the no disturb area. Will those be seeded, lawn, grassed, or?
It'll be grassed.
Okay.
That's why we pulled the wall all the way back where we did, so we could just grass that area
Yeah,
and
okay.
restore it as much as possible.
Okay, that's my only question.
Okay. Dean?
I agree. Thank you very much for doing this study. No other questions.
Okay, Bailey,
No questions. Nicely done.
Doug,
No questions.
Emilio,
No, looks good. I have no questions.
Betsy,
No questions.
Al?
Well, I've got a couple of questions about the alternative sketches. Like on sketch number 1, there's 2 areas that I don't understand. What's the dark area, and what are the 2 crosshatched areas? What does the crosshatching indicate?
If I might, this crosshatch area was an area where we were going to put in some major geogrid. We realized the wall was going to be 10, maybe 11 feet high in certain areas. So we had the major geogrid. And because we were trying to minimize we obviously couldn't get into the no disturb zone, but we still needed a work area in this section here. We were going to use a riprap slope at a 1-to-1. This was rejected by Mr. Madden. Yeah, again, it was a preliminary sketch. We came up with, 2 or 3 alternatives. And we just kind of looked at what we could do on the site within staying outside the no disturb zone. So that was the intent of this particular sketch, and it was rejected by Mr. Madden.
Anything else, Al?
The crosshatched areas on all 3 of the alternatives are the geogrid to stabilize the wall. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Then I have no further questions.
Okay. I don't think we had anybody in the audience, did we? I have one question though. You show, if we go back to the other one, there was some little red squares on those. Are those no disturb signs?
Oh, those were the plaques that you
Plaques?
requested.
Okay.
They
Yeah, I couldn't-
they will be put in. There's a note on the plan that they will be put in before any construction
Yeah.
starts.
Okay, I couldn't read what they were, but I thought that might be it. Okay. So is there anybody in the audience that wants to comment? Hearing none. Someone will make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Dean,
Aye.
Bailey,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Emilio,
Aye.
Betsy,
Aye.
Al,
Aye.
Jack, aye. Okay, hearing's closed. Now, Landis, you have any items in particular for the order other than the normal?
No, so I would just reference in the order that the no alteration plaque should be placed prior to the construction of the pool. It is on the plans, but I also like to put it in the permit. And again, just no further alteration of the riverfront area. And I would just remind the Maddens that there wouldn't be any additional tree cutting in the no alteration area or the river riparian zone.
Yeah, so you'll include that in
And
the
our
order?
standard order regarding pool cleanouts too.
Yeah, okay. Okay, anybody have anything else? Okay, someone want to make that a motion for the order?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Dean,
Aye.
Bailey,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Emilio,
Aye.
Betsy,
Aye.
Al,
Aye.
Jack, aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Okay, whenever you're ready, Landis.
I think that concludes our public hearings.
Right, are you ready to proceed? We have minutes
Yes.
You have in here November 29th. I don't think we met the 29th.
We haven't, that was
Oh,
the
that was-
special meeting in
that was-
regards
right.
to one item, which I still have to write up
Okay, so that's still to be done. Okay.
pending.
Now, December 8th, I think there were just some revisions that had to be made on that. People had commented on that when we didn't vote it at the last meeting, I believe. So, subject, do we need to see those? Was that the point that you were going to make? the
I
revisions
sent
to
out
the-
I sent out those minutes with the changes.
You did?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Someone want to move those minutes of December 8th?
I'll move them.
Okay, Betsy, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, that was Emilio. Okay, all in favor? Dean,
Aye.
Bailey,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Emilio,
Aye.
Betsy,
Aye.
Al,
Aye.
Jack, aye. Okay, now, January 12th, was that done?
So the January 12th draft minutes were also sent out for review.
Okay, I got, when I opened up my emails with your report, there was a set of minutes attached, which I also, but nothing would print. I had to go back in and go through it, and I got the report, but I never saw the minutes again. So I don't know what
I
happened
think I set the minutes up with the agenda.
with the agenda.
Did other people get the minutes? For the 12th? Did anyone else get the minutes for the 12th?
I did. I can't say that I actually could open them, but I did get them.
Really? Okay. Betsy, did you get them? Emilio? You're muted.
I got them. I can read them.
You got them. Okay, well, if
got
we
'em,
got
yeah.
enough, if we have enough people to get them, I don't know what was going on with my printer, but something, it didn't want to print. And then when I went back in again after I got the printer to print, they weren't there.
Well, if you want to hold off, whatever you guys want to do.
Well, if there's enough people to vote them, if I'm the only one, that's okay, we'll do that. So January 12th, someone want to make that a motion?
I'll move it.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, that was, who seconded that?
Got one.
Okay, Dean, okay. All in favor? Dean,
Aye.
Bailey,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Emilio,
Aye.
Betsy,
Aye.
Al?
I haven't seen them.
Okay, and I'll abstain. So Al and I abstain, so it's a 1, 2, 3, 5-0-2. Okay, so that takes care of the minutes. Master plan update, anything new on that, Dean?
Nope, nothing new. We're choosing, well, yeah, I guess there is something new. It's still going on, still in data collection. We're doing those kitchen table discussions, but there's still the consulting firms crunching all the data. And then we have chosen our areas of review. So the master plan is split up into different like sectors. There's like 10 sectors of focus. And then there's a bunch of people on the committee and you get to choose one to focus on. So you're not just reviewing the whole master plan, you're reviewing a section, and my section is conservation. So once the data is compiled and a report is gurgitated, I'll be focusing on reviewing that section. That's about it.
Okay, thank you. I see Mr. Petrosi is on. Why don't we move to the Burns Avenue?
So I sent out the letter in regards to the enforcement under the bylaw and the enforcement order under the Wetlands Protection Act as requested by the commission at their last meeting. And I wrote in the letter that I would do an inspection on Monday, this past Monday. I went out on Monday, Mr. Petrosi was on site, and we went over the items that were required to be completed under the bylaw enforcement for work being conducted without a permit. And the DP sign was up, but other items weren't completed. So I issued fines for January 22nd, January 23rd, and January 24th. And then he did have machinery out there, which was beginning to excavate the sedimentation basin swale. I went out again today, and the swale was completed. The silt sock, a new silt sock was put in place. Most of the orange construction fence was up and repaired, and the items that weren't complete were the silt fence was not installed, wetlands flagging was not replaced, and a copy of the SWEP was not provided to the commission. Mr. Petrosi did email me with similar agreement of what was done and was not done. I did forward him the Zoom information for tonight and suggested that he come tonight and give an update to the commission regards to the items and the enforcement.
Okay, Mr. Petrosi, do you want to make any comments at this point and try to fill us in when you will get these items completed? Right now, you're muted.
So you want my comment now that you've already took enforcement? Or I mean, I don't understand the philosophy here.
If you have anything you'd like to say, then you have the opportunity.
Well, you guys are gonna do whatever you want to do. I'll let the court decide whether or not you've been abused your discretion or not.
Okay.
You know, you cannot in the middle of a most frigid time of the year seek to enforce or have installed erosion control measures that, quite frankly, of no consequence at this time of the year. So do what you're going to do. We'll let the court decide whether or not you abused your discretion and whether or not your bylaw is legitimate or not.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Do you have any idea when you may complete the items that are still to be done?
As soon as the frost is out of the ground, we'll do whatever else we need to do there.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I think at this point, we could decide whether we continue the fines, whether the frost is inhibiting the action needed to be taken. I would open that to discussion.
You mean as like, what? Landis, can you repeat what we're requesting?
Well, the couple of the items are completed because of frost, that the ground apparently may be not workable to complete the items. We've got wetland flags that are not in place and the silt fence, which if I'm hearing correctly, that this is because the frost is too deep in the ground to complete those items. So do we allow this as as the reason, and as soon as it can be done, that should be done, and the fines would resume if not? Or do we continue the fines? So.
This sounds
anybody-
like I have a comment.
Yeah,
It
go ahead,
sounds like
Betsy.
a familiar conversation that we've had before about whether modern machinery can dig in January and February. And I thought that the conclusion was that it could and it does. I mean, my family just had a perk test done a couple of weeks ago, and that took a whole lot of digging. So I guess I'm questioning whether it's impossible to dig things and install things in January.
Okay. So Dean, you have any comments on this?
Yeah. I'm with Betsy on this one. I think they can do it. And I think that the weather in New England changes rapidly enough that, we're going to get precipitation on Saturday, and then it's going to warm up the following week. And who knows what kind of precipitation and weather is going to happen, and potential runoff from our construction sites.
Okay. Bailey?
I also agree with Dean and Betsy. I think this is possible. However, I think it should also be, the weather. I think personally, we're all supposed to get like a foot of snow this Saturday. So I think we need to take that into consideration. I do think it's supposed to get warm on Friday. So maybe Mr. Petrosi, you could take advantage of some of the warmer weather when it happens. But yeah, I think like we all talked about my, drainage system in the backyard, and they dug the hole, but they didn't dig the ground out to put the pipe in the ground, because they said they needed to jackhammer it and it was going to look ugly. So we were like, okay, fine. But I don't know if jackhammering's involved, like for flags or whatnot. It doesn't seem like that would be necessary. So I feel like this is probably something that could be done.
Okay.
I'm noticing that Lou's not listening to this unless, I think he's gone off. But
Well, this
You
is,
didn't like
this
what I had
is
to
a
say?
discussion, this is a discussion for the commission to decide what to do about continuing the fines. So whether Lou is listening or not, as he said, he'll take it to court, so. What do we want to do? That's what we're talking about. Do we want to continue the fines, or do we take the weather into consideration and hold off on the fines until the weather changes enough that the work could be done?
I'm inclined to say we continue with the fines, which obviously is a hassle for Landis. She's got to go and inform him because he's not here. Because the weather didn't stop him from clearing the entire site. The weather doesn't have much to do that I can imagine with flagging wetlands, putting the flags on. And the weather doesn't have much to do with putting a construction fence up. And it's been pointed out, the weather fluctuates. After the snow melts, it'll warm up, we'll have runoff. I just think the job needs to be completed, and the construction machinery managed to get this far with it in cold weather. So I'm inclined to just keep staying the course here with what we had last meeting.
Okay. The point was, when we started doing this, the weather wasn't an issue. He could work, the ground was workable. That has since now changed, but, so, okay. So you're in favor of that. Now we're at Bailey. Doug? What's your opinion?
I think I agree that there's things that could be done in spite of the cold weather. One of the things on Landis's list was the copy of the stormwater prevention plan hasn't been submitted, so I don't see how the cold weather prevents that from happening.
Correct.
So I'm in agreement.
Okay. Emilio?
Yeah, I totally agree. They were digging up Main Street yesterday with machinery, so if they can do that, come on. And the swept, I mean, your hands get cold. It's hard to write when it's cold and weather, so I can understand why. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, yeah, I totally agree. There's no excuse. I mean, until Saturday when it snows, then I can understand. But for the last 3 weeks, it's been a couple weeks. It's been decent weather, so I'm in favor of the fines continuing.
Okay. Betsy, anything else?
No.
Okay, Al?
Well, let's see. Tomorrow and probably Friday, somebody could restore the wetland flags and such. But certainly after a foot of snow, that's not going to be possible to do it accurately. The backyard here is frozen solid. I couldn't pound a wooden stake in no matter how hard I tried, because I was trying to do something and I just kept breaking the stake. So I know that if it requires staking some erosion control, he can put these silt sacks around, but he can't stake them down unless he uses steel stakes with some kind of a hydraulic machine. But I don't think that's very practical. But as far as getting a couple of guys to put out some erosion control with the normal hand tools and pounding a wooden stake in, that's not possible right now. You don't do that with a machine anyway. So the silt sacks there, when they put those in, they pump the compost into the sacks with a machine. And I guess those would work as long as the supply of compost isn't frozen solid. So I don't know whether it makes common sense to expect those two items to be completed this week. Now, when the weather changes and the snow goes away, some of that can be done. But right now, the ground is impervious to hand tools and the normal ways of installing. Yeah, sure, you can use a big machine to dig through the frozen ground, but that isn't what we want. That's not the practical answer to the question. And certainly he could provide the paperwork. So I have a mixed feeling about continuing the fines right now, but as soon as the weather breaks, it should continue.
Bailey?
like that.
Bailey, you want to add something?
Yes, I totally agree with Al. Like, you would have to jackhammer the ground right now to get like into it. But flags, I feel like I've seen them on trees, like branches. Like, so maybe there could be like something that he could do in the meantime. I totally agree. The fence, I wouldn't want to fine him for the fence, but I think I agree with Doug. Like, that's an email. Like, he could totally do that. So maybe it's each one could be looked at separately.
Okay. Let me ask a question, Landis. This SWIP, what is involved with that? Why is that? Why do you know, what's involved? Why hasn't that been filed? Not that you know why it didn't, but that's just paperwork, isn't it?
Yes, it's just paperwork to have a plan to handle stormwater during construction. It was supposed to be submitted prior to the 40B permit, which is on hold at the moment. So he pretty much said he wasn't gonna give it to us. So I only issued one fine for that so far. When he said he wasn't gonna file with it. I think the commission, you know, more is not necessarily better at this point. So I would agree with Al. So the new compost sock is in, it is there. So there is now at least protection better than a falling apart, open areas and broken compost sock protecting the wetlands. The plan called for a silt fence. So if it's too difficult to put it in now because of the ground being frozen, okay. So I would just keep on top of inspections, and if the compost sock does not protect sediment from getting into the wetlands, then immediately a fine should be issued. Sediments in wetlands, because he should have secured the site before he cleared it. That's when he should have done it, and he didn't. So now he's at risk for sediments to go into the wetlands, and as soon as that happens, I believe the commission should immediately fine him for that. That's also holds up in court much better because it's an actual occurrence.
Does anybody have any comments what Landis has just made? Okay. I would suggest then that what we do, we hold the fines as of now with the proviso that when the weather changes sufficiently that we got two issues here. One is if we get any erosion, whether we get a lot of snow and it melts right away, what happens to the runoff? Does that cause a problem? And the fine for that. That's what you're suggesting, Landis? That,
yeah, and it's so
okay.
right now we have the compost stock out, and he did construct the swale or berm that's along the compost stock, a little upgrade of it, so that should collect anything that may discharge into the wetlands. So there's just behind the swale, between the swale and the compost stock, if anything breaks down, that could potentially happen. As far as the flagging and staking of the wetlands, yeah, that should have been done a long time ago, because that gives you a point of reference also with the erosion control. And now it's really, the flags aren't there. So again, that all he has to do is call up GLM and say, go survey the flags. And he could have done that a while ago, and he decided not to.
Okay, so the flags, are we including that in this hold because of the weather issue as well? Or do you want the flags up now?
Well, I think he could do it Thursday or Friday, but he probably couldn't do it Saturday, Sunday, and maybe after that. But he certainly could do it tomorrow. He could do it on Friday. So I would keep those days in place.
Okay, so the flags, the wetland flags, we're going to continue the fine.
That's what I would suggest. At least
Okay, so we
Thursday,
continue the-
Friday,
we
while the
continue
weather
fine
permits.
And the flags.
Yeah.
And I think what we're gonna have to do is, you're gonna have to send him an email of what we're doing here. That because of the weather, we're holding off on the fines and reference the numbers. That we're not fining because of the weather issues. The flags should be put up. And we're expecting that the fine will continue until, at least if you want to include that with the weather, or we'll just decide later whether we don't fine them because of the weather. Just leave that as on a per diem basis. Is that all right? Okay,
Are
so
you
the
asking me,
flag,
Jack, or are you asking
Well,
everyone else? So I think on
I'm just
Thursday and
asking.
Friday, weather permitting, he could have the wetlands flags resurveyed.
Okay, is there, and if anybody disagrees with that, that we're gonna continue the fine on the wetland flags until such time that the weather would prevent it from doing it. And then after that weather period is over, we're back to fining. So it's just a weather hold, if you want to call it that. You don't have to tell them that we're putting a hold on it, just that they're going to fine per diem on the wetland flags and leave it at that. We can hold off later that we backed off on that.
And what about the paperwork? I mean, that seems kind of strange.
Yeah, that's what one thing that, he's saying he's not going to do it. Is it required now? He has to do it in order to he gets his permit issue straightened out. Then he needs that before he can do anything under the permit. Landis, is that the way that works?
Yes, that's one of the requirements prior to starting any construction on the site under the 40B permit, and it should have been included prior to doing anything on the site.
All right.
So,
It might not, it might be harder to hold up in court. I guess that's why I issued it once, and continuing to issue it might not,
yeah, okay.
they might say, well, what does this have to do with it? Anything.
Yeah, I think that we need to look at a practical standpoint here. He's going to take it to court. So if it's something that may not hold up, let's just back off on it now. All right, so we've got so the only issue of continuing is the wetland flags. The other issues, if we get erosion encroaching into the buffer zone within our jurisdiction, then we will
Into the
initiate
wetlands.
that'll be another item on the fine.
Into the wetlands, Jack.
The wetlands, okay.
There is no buffer zone. I mean, everything is desert. Everything is altered up to the wetlands line.
Okay, so if there's any erosion into the wetlands, then that will be a separate issue, a separate item on our fine list, right? Because that's not an issue right now.
Correct.
Okay, so that will be a separate issue. So our email to Petrosi would be, we're holding off on the fines that are weather related because of the frost in the ground. We are not they are continuing the fines on the wetland flags. And that if there's any erosion into the wetlands, that will be a separate fine. Do we call that a separate violation subject to daily fines? However you want to word that.
It should be a separate fine.
Yes. Okay. So we're going to send him an email on that. Does that cover all that we need to cover?
Okay.
Okay. Everybody in agreement with this now then? Dean?
Yes.
Okay, Bailey?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Emilio?
Yeah, that makes sense. I agree.
Betsy?
Aye.
Okay, Al?
Okay.
Okay, and I'm okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm okay, you're okay. That was a book from years and years ago. All right, what else do we have?
Request for extension?
is there anything on enforcement order with Washington Street with Steve Capone? Anything different on that?
Holly from the Norwood Conservation Agent emailed me late today around 3:30 in regards to that. I guess Russ Waldron did go out and flag the wetlands area and determined that also that none of the fill was in the floodplain area, but she has not received a plan from them yet, so I don't know specifically what alterations are in Walpole yet, so we still need to determine that.
Okay. Palmer Lane, that's anything different? That there's some work going on there, and we're waiting for
The
weather.
spring.
Spring, and there's nothing new on Main Street. Okay. We have a request for an extension for Swan Pond.
Yep, this is for their pond maintenance program.
Okay, is that okay to extend?
I would extend it, yes.
What's the
Okay, so-
extension about?
So, just like Turner's Pond and Clark's Pond, the town ponds that get treated for invasive species and algae, the ponds at Swan Pond also get treated. And in order for them to be treated, they have to have a valid order of conditions to send to DEP to get a permit.
Okay.
So they're
What
requesting
are
an
we
extension to
doing?
get that permit?
What was that, Bailey?
I'm confused what they're requesting an extension for.
They're requesting an extension to the order of conditions that the commission issued to allow them to treat the ponds.
So they're taking longer to treat them than we asked for.
It's an annual thing.
Yeah.
So it's been going on for a while, just like Turner's and Clark's Pond.
Gotcha. Thank you.
If you start treating ponds, you got to continue it. If otherwise, all the stuff grows back and all the
Right.
money is spent treating it.
I was concerned they weren't treating them and trying to delay treating them.
Oh,
and that
no,
was my
no,
question.
no,
Okay.
no, the owners would scream and yell and get mad.
What is our extension now? 18 months?
18 months. Yeah, we're still doing 18 months because of COVID.
Okay, someone make that a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Do we have a second?
yes.
Green,
Aye.
okay, Bailey,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Emilio,
Aye.
Betsy,
Aye.
Al,
Aye.
Jack, aye. Okay. Okay, on appeals, I guess we expect to hear an answer to the appeal on the, I guess the pinnacle is the, whether Bird Pond is a stream or a pond. That's the pinnacle under the appeals, the SORAD.
Yes, the SORAD, if it's a river or a pond. Well, it is a river and a pond, but if it has a riverfront area.
So this is the hearing officer that Lance and I were sitting in on Tuesday, said he would have a decision by the end of the week. The historic milk complex, we sat in on the town council spoke for the town, the Petrosi's council spoke for him, and the DEP council spoke for them, and the hearing officer ran the meeting. So it was some issues brought up, and everybody has an opportunity to make some comments. And what they try to do is get it resolved before it goes actually to the court. So I don't know if till we see some there was some things DEP was going to come up with. One big question was what area is included in that should be subject to the exemption under the Wetlands Protection Act if it is an old restored mill complex. And DEP, because the original filing included the whole, I think it's 6.3 acres. So they were going to come up with what area that would or would not apply, and then people can comment on that. And then there was a couple other issues of what is pertinent to defining a structure. And we have put some comments to town council to consider on what makes a structure. DEP has their definition of what's a structure. And we'll see where this turns out with a hearing officer. So I think anything else you want to add, Landis?
No, that's pretty much it. It's the exemption of the historic mill complex would take it out of the rivers section of the Wetlands Protection Act, not the whole entire Wetlands Protection Act.
Okay. Any comments? Speaking of board comments, do we know why planning board turned down the Lincoln Road?
I would not want to go into that. You have to talk to kids. I think it's
Okay.
complex and much too involved for 9:51 at night.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm going to pass
Great.
on that.
Okay.
So as far as board comments, so 2220 Boston Providence Highway, we heard tonight, and that was the land disturbance permit. The 130 West Street, we issued a land disturbance permit last meeting. 455 South Street, we're also reviewing. So if you would like, I can just update the planning board on where these cases are as far as the Conservation Commission. The 173 High Street is not jurisdictional.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? I don't see anything else.
Just this correspondence I put on the agenda, as well as when I uploaded the Eversource Energy letter on the website, notification of vegetative management activities on Road 10. That goes up through the Adams Farm and Lincoln Road areas. So they'll be doing their vegetative management along that right away.
Okay.
They're gonna do a great job.
Conflict of
Okay.
interest.
No comment. What? I was on mute.
Just kidding.
There was something, Landis,
Yes.
we got a letter from Joe Moraski asking if we wanted to support a bill that's up in the House now that would modify 40B projects to I'm trying to think of the wording on this, that where in the buffer zone of wetland areas, that the town bylaws would not be waived on a 40B project. I think that's summarizes that. Landis, was that correct? I don't know if you had a chance to read
Again,
that.
I just got that this afternoon and I quickly skimmed it. I did send the link out to everyone else, and I don't feel like I've really looked at it enough to give the commission my opinion on it.
How time sensitive is it? Because I knew this was going to come up about 10 o'clock at night, which is what it's going to be real soon. And I'm not at my best for that kind of thing. Is it time sensitive? Does Joe need to have a reply like tonight, or can it be?
Well, what he's saying is that would the commission send a letter of support? There's a whole list of organizations, some of which are conservation-minded organizations supporting this. And I don't see any downside to it, since it would just only in those sensitive areas would it bypass the town bylaws. The point is that, and we have seen this, the 40B projects often are in less than prime real estate. And therefore, when you bypass the town bylaws, the protections the towns have put in for, and particularly for wetlands and water supply, that those town protection bylaws are now not valid to enforce. And this would add that back in, that the town bylaws would apply in those areas.
Yeah,
So I
Jack,
don't see any downside.
I think I agree with everything you said, but I'm also just thinking, if it's not time sensitive, if the legislators are not voting on it tomorrow, is it better that we just, because if Landis hasn't had time to look it over carefully, I think that's kind of important. Do you think he needs a reply in the next 2 weeks, or?
I just lost everything. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I've lost the screen somehow. I don't know. I don't remember what the, I didn't see anything that timing wise without going back. There was a lot of information there, so.
Other people.
Why don't, if everybody has been sent that information, take a look at it and send your comments back to Landis. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'll say right now, I'm in favor of it, and Jack's in favor of it. I just want to make sure that, I've been thinking that should happen for a long time. I just want to make sure that everyone else isn't feeling like they haven't had a chance to have a look
I
at
think
it.
the letter, Maraski's request was to send our response supporting it to the delegation that represents Walpole. Now, I think Rogers was the writer of that bill, and Rogers represents, he's the he's a representative from Norwood that represents part of Walpole, I believe. He did, and I don't know if that still is correct or not. So we'd have to find out who our representatives are, so include them in our response. Which I guess we can find out from, it ought to be listed someplace who all our representatives are for the town. At one time, there were 4 or 5 that represented the town.
Okay, well, I can find out that information and just do a draft letter and send it out for everyone to look at. Does that sound like a good idea? And if it needs to be sent prior to the next meeting, then it sounds like everyone thinks it's, good idea anyways, so we can move forward on that. Otherwise, we'll wait till next meeting. Sound
Okay.
good?
Sounds good. Anybody have
Good.
anything else? Okay.
Okay.
So we'll close the meeting, and I don't know, are we on, is all this on Walpole video?
Yes.
Okay, so we tell whoever is there that we're gonna make a motion to close the meeting.
Yep.
Someone want to move that?
I'll move it.
So moved.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
second it.
Okay, now, all in favor, Dean,
Aye.
Bailey,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Medio,
Aye.
Betsy,
Aye.
Al,
Aye.
Jack, aye. Okay, night, everybody.
Okay, thank you.